Hello and welcome back to Underrated, Overrated. I've got a Cheltenham Festival special for you this time round. I've plucked out 5 of the best performances from the fantastic 4 days of racing we've had. Let's get stuck right into it. We'll kick things off with the main race from day one, the Champion Hurdle, and of course this would mean we're going to be talking about Honeysuckle. Definitely been this horse's biggest doubter. If I had to rank it one way or the other, I'd most probably say properly rated, maybe just leaning towards an underrated performance. Racing Post ratings have her performing £9 above her mare's hurdle win last year. I mean, it's hard to really say that it wasn't. I definitely had doubts about her over 2 miles on quick ground, but she firmly put me in my place. There were, of course, talks about her going chasing this coming year. Now, although Henry de Bromhead says that she loves jumping and it's something that she really enjoys, and they school her quite regularly over fences at home, I think this will be something that will be shelved. I see no point in her actually going chasing because she looks to have this Champion Hurdle division absolutely sewn up. One thing I definitely will say is that I don't think we're ever going to get a backable price on Honeysuckle, at least not for this foreseeable future. I had a look at the odds of her last 5 performances. She went off at 8 to 11, 9 to 4, 4 to 11, 11 to 10, and 10 to 11. So yeah, all these prices fairly backable. I can see her going off sort of maybe a 1 to 3 shot from now on. It wouldn't really be a Champion Hurdle conversation if I didn't comment on Epatante. I have to say I'm quite disappointed with her performance on the whole. She was always known for being a fantastic jumper, and that was something that she didn't do throughout the Champion Hurdle. She was quite sloppy at many of them, and most probably struggled to lay up with a strong early pace. She started pushing back through the field and really struggling to keep tabs on them. I think Rachel Blackmore made a race-winning move when she pulled out wide and took it up from Silver Streak, and the complete opposite could be said for Aidan Coleman, who decided to try and sneak up the inside on Epatante where there was no space at all. By the time Epatante did get out in a clear run, the race had already gone to bed, but she didn't quicken like she would have, like you'd expected her to. She never really closed on Sharjah either. All in all, it was quite a disappointing performance from her. I do expect a better performance from her next year. It's quite hard to say she hasn't had a good year, though. I mean, she's a Grade 1 winner and twice Grade 1 placed, but for what I expected of her and what I think a lot of people expected of her, she definitely underperformed on the day. The next race we're going to be looking at is the National Hunt Chase, and more specifically, we're going to be looking at Galvin's performance. If I had to lean one way, I'd definitely lean towards an underrated performance, mainly for the reason of if this horse had lost, I think you could have made excuses for him. His jumping wasn't exactly perfect throughout the early stages, and it did take a fantastic ride from Jack Kennedy to produce him quite late, so he definitely deserves to be credited. But this horse, yeah, I think he's a really classy animal. I tend not to take the National Hunt Chase form too literally. Obviously, I spoke to Dan in the roundup video not that long ago, and he was saying the addition of professional jockeys, not amateur jockeys, definitely helped with the pace of the race, and it meant that these classy animals, Ascaria 10, who I rate quite highly, Next Destination, who I believe should have been in the Brown Advisory, and Galvin, the class definitely came to the fore at the end. I think the right horses were there at the finish, and I think this could actually end up being a useful piece of form. I'm not sure what the plan is for Galvin going into next year, but I imagine they'll just go wherever the ground is good. The Champion Chase is next on the list, and it's going to be Put the Kettle On's performance. Now, this is one of my anti-post plays, but if I'm honest with you, I'd say this is an overrated performance. Don't get me wrong, she's a lovely, genuine game mare, but something about the form just doesn't really stack up to me. Nube Negra obviously had a bit of a troubled passage throughout the race, but I think the race for the most part was ran to suit. He got that quick ground that he definitely wanted, and I don't think they went a really good pace, which meant that a horse who obviously had stamina doubts was able to finish so well. Chacun Pour Soi on Racing Post ratings was given £9 below his last run. Now, of course, in the bare form of it, Put the Kettle On has reversed a 9-length deficit, but Put the Kettle On does really come alive around Cheltenham. So maybe that is a touch harsh on him, but you could definitely say he hasn't performed to the same level that we know he can. But for me, the main horse in the race, the horse that I'm putting the line through, is who finished 4th, and that was Greenatine. Now, he was only beaten 2 lengths. Now, I know Nichols has always fought a lot of him, but to have Greenatine, a horse who was beaten, I think it was 8 lengths in the Tingle Creek, and then he was beaten a further 8 lengths in the game spirit behind a 3-miler champ, for him to only be beaten 2 lengths in a Champion Chase, I just don't think the form's going to stack up. I think Put the Kettle On's a lovely horse, but unfortunately, I don't think she'll be winning the Champion Chase next year. Next up is going to be Minella Indo in the Gold Cup, and I think this was a seriously underrated performance. I think we've actually seen a really, really good winner of the Gold Cup. This is a horse that obviously comes alive around Cheltenham, an Albert Bartlett winner as a novice hurdler, and placed in what was known as the RSA, now the Brown Advisory, last year, in a race that may have actually fallen apart. He tracked around Allaho for the most part, and they sort of cut each other's throats, leaving it for Champ to pick up the pieces late on. I think this horse lost his confidence after that fall in the Savills Chase. So they just sort of nursed him round in the Irish Gold Cup. I know he made a big mistake. I think it was from 2 from home. But he was pretty much foot perfect the whole way around in this Gold Cup. I was really impressed. I've watched the Gold Cup back a few times, and I'm not sure if idling is the right word here. I don't think it is. But every time A Plus Tard seemed to come at Minella Indo, he pulled some more out the bag. And if I'm honest with you, I think Minella Indo had plenty left in the tank. Looking at Racing Post ratings, this was the best performance in a Gold Cup since Don Cossack. And Minella Indo is only 8, so he's going to be obviously 9 next year. And could be better than ever. I think he has a fantastic chance of retaining the Gold Cup next year. And last, but certainly not least, is Colreevy in the new Mares' Chase. And I think this was an underrated performance. For the same reasons as Galvin, you could have made excuses for this horse if you would have lost. The ground was definitely on the quick side. It had been drying all week, and this horse has predominantly raced on soft and heavy ground, so I definitely thought that was in the negative for her. Also, she led from a long way, and Ellie May battled her early on, so there was no hiding room for Colreevy, and she just kept finding more. One thing I would really like to know is that she kept repeatedly jumping out to her right for her out. And again, another reason to think, if she'd lost, you could have said she just kept jumping out to her right. She didn't jump straight. And of course, this did in some ways hinder Ellie May, but I definitely saw it as a positive to Colreevy as well. I'm not sure what the plans will be for her. I believe she's going to be turning 9 next year. But fences really have brought out the best in her. Maybe they'll retire her. But if not, definitely coming back to this race next year. And on a softer surface, we might even see a better performance. So that is underrated, overrated. If you did enjoy this episode, please let me know. I will try and do these more regularly, as I do enjoy sitting down and doing them when I have the time to. Definitely be trying to do them more throughout the flat season anyway. If you disagree with anything that I've said, please drop them in the comments below. Give me your order of whether they were underrated or overrated in your opinion. And also feel free to drop other performances maybe I've missed if you want to know my views on them. Anyway, I'll catch you soon with another video.